Okay, so the point of this video is to compare server-side scripting with client-side scripting and just talk about the technologies that are involved in that. Okay, so the difference between client and server-side scripting is that on client-side scripting you have a web browser, and in the browser it downloads from the computer on the internet some code. This will probably be part of an HTML file, or it will be appended to the HTML file, so it could be a JavaScript file or something like that. And what happens is with client-side scripting, the code, so the JavaScript, is decoded and executed within the client's browser. So you can use the information about the client's computer, maybe their operating system they're using, and also the particular browser version they're using. So you can tell whether they're using a mobile device or a tablet or a laptop, but you could also determine whether they're using Chrome or Safari or Firefox. An example.
So it's like an exchange.
Okay, so an example of client-side script would be a piece of JavaScript which uses the regional settings on your computer to display the date and time. And because it's downloaded to your machine, if someone else downloads it and they're in a different time zone or have a different regional setting, they will have a different date and time displayed on their screen. Okay, so in comparison, the server, usually the code is run on the server itself. So if there's a Java file or an ASP file or a PHP file, these are examples of scripts that are run on the server, and the results from that are turned into HTML, which can then be passed to the client. That's one example. It's a couple of examples of server-side scripting. Another one is that sometimes direct links to code and pages that are run on the server are displayed within a frame or a container. And an example of these things would be confirmation for purchases from banks. And because the details held within that page are not sent to the client in any way, they can't be intercepted, and so therefore they're far more secure than if you sent the details to the client, and they would risk being intercepted and adapted, or when the user enters their password or unique identifier for the bank, that could be picked up and decrypted when the client browser sends it back to the server. So having a frame which directly acts as a server for this purpose is highly secure. Okay, so to summarize, server-side scripts, PHP or Java, are executed on the server and using information that's held on the server and returned as an HTTP text file to the client. This could be as HTML or another structured language, could be XML, for example. The benefit of running server-side scripts is that they can access information that's held in a database on the server, and that could be the customer details or their previous order histories or their purchase preferences or their subscriptions. And this would allow a customized page being sent from the server to the user. And if it's in particular like a basket or an order system, this would allow the client to see the basket history that is also being held on the server. The advantage of this is that you could be working on one machine and add items to your basket and then move to a different machine, but as long as you can log into the same website, your order or your basket should remain constant because it's being held on the server and not on the client. If it was being held on the client side, then you wouldn't have a basket if you move from one machine to another, because it wouldn't hold the same data. So looking at the answer scheme from the IBO, to get the 6 marks you have to discuss that server-side scripts are held on the server, and the results of that, once they've been processed on the server, are returned to the client as an HTTP page, which could be any kind of HTML page or XML style page. Usually the scripts are written in PHP, or if you want other examples, Java. Windows ones are ASP, Cold Fusion is quite legacy. And so that's the kind of general information about a server-side script, those first 3 points. The advantage the scenario, relating to the scenario for purchasing goods online, you can store and retrieve customers' preferences. That's an advantage because the database is being held on the server, and then this allows customization of a web page, and because you have information on the server, you can carry out payments, you can retain baskets from machine to machine, etc. And the last point, just in case you wanted to expand on the customization of a page, you can have dynamic interaction from the client side with the database on the server side. So that could be things like changing your delivery address, or updating your password, or creating a wish list. And that's 6 marks.